forums we've met, in any panel you normally participate. So there's a question here that has been asked, and I think you should be ready to participate in it. I'm coming to you next. I'm just warning you in advance. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, we're in a safe place, so it's okay. We are allowed to say anything.
Okay.
Yeah? Just before I go to the special table, let me just mention something about this issue of youth and others. Okay, I think it's important that we get to know that. When we look at our tax register and we look at the demographics, the highest number of taxpayers in our register are between the ages of 21 to 30. That is available. 21, 30. And that informs how we respond. And something else that we did is when we did what we call the tax literacy survey, and we picked that demographic, again, to see what it is that they are telling us. And some of the things I'd mentioned before, they were telling us issues about our systems having problems. I mean, it's not easily accessible. They also told us issues about knowing issues about tax obligation and many other things. They told us all those other things. That informs now our strategy going forward. So these plans that we put in place, simplification, supporting our taxpayers in whichever way, has been more focused on that group. We have also got what we call the school outreach, where we reach to students now. So, because we know they're transitioning to that age. So we have got into that space. And wherever there is a group of young people of that age coming together, we normally make sure we participate. Because we like that participation, because they ask us questions. They ask us questions about, in the tech space, they are really big in tech space, what we think about it, what are all these incentives that are available to support them. And we have been sharing the incentives that are available to support them, so that especially when they are, startups, how do we support them so that they come forward, because they're the taxpayers of the future. So there's quite a bit of things that are being done in that space, and we can always enhance. There's room for improvement. So let me go to special table. Well, special table is always available in every, and I think Chairman speaks to it better than myself, but I'll attempt to do it because he's able to do it in a very easy way. But the special table, the whole idea behind this is this simple, that we should not have a situation whereby there's someone who claims an input which has not been declared. Because the tax, when we're talking about VAT, special table is more focused on VAT. And the VAT is paid by the final consumer. So the final consumer is the one who pays VAT. And the business here has got the responsibility of making sure that they account for that and make sure they remit taxes. Meaning that they collect the money from the final consumer. They're allowed to deduct any input that they have incurred, and then the final amount, then they pay. But then we saw certain patterns that started emerging, that you find that there are those who are then, they are issuing invoices, but they are not accounting for those invoices they have issued. So when we look for them, because we've got register, and we've got, they have given us numbers, they have given us contacts, when we try to reach to them, we are unable. You can't find them. So then we go to the person who has consumed the service and say, please, point us to us. Who is this who has supplied you? And that became an issue. So when you see even the law itself ties to that, because the law is very clear, the VAT law, it says that you then can only allow a deduction which has been declared purely to safeguard, to make sure that the money that has been paid has reached. And that's very important. So we have got people in between here, not all. Some people have found a way to scam the system. And when we look deeper into them, you find these companies that are companies that are turning very huge turnovers, but they have got no premises. So you see that's basically a scheme that we need to deal with here. Is there an alternative way we can deal with this? Yes, we are thinking of very many other alternative ways of dealing with it, because it's important that we deal with it. Is there rules that we put around to guide taxpayers getting into special table and removal? Yes, and we have published those rules. They are available on the website. We have published those rules here. So we have got to deal with them. And yes, if there are cases whereby our officers, because that's not the policy of the organization, for people to go out and start asking for money for removal or placement. Those are issues that administratively we are dealing with them.
All right, thank you so much for that. And, thank you so much for the votes of the questions. I think the two that are highest voted, a little bit, I'll be unfair to push them to the commissioner immediately. But panelists, I'm coming to you for your last statements. But Chairman, I had already told you this. There's something here, I want you to listen to it, that the issue is not paying taxes. This has been now the highest voted so far, but rather how the taxes are utilized, which discourages taxpayers. And the reason why I'm throwing this to you is because of your immense experience, even on the ground with people in your previous life. Then there's also this other part as well, that to what extent does government spending transparency affect MSMEs' tax morale? I like that because we're talking about MSMEs. Can effective communication on tax revenue be used to improve compliance levels? I think those are the two areas. I don't know whether there's a mic close, but I can pass. I have my co-moderator here. Pass it. Sounded like three. No, they're just two. It is just about government. So one, to what extent does government spending transparency affect MSME tax morale? I think that's the question, because these MSMEs are seeing how the government is spending, and so their morale is affected. And then the first one was the issue, it was a statement though, but just a reaction from you, that the issue is not paying taxes, but rather how the taxes are utilized, which discourages taxpayers. Those two are related in a way. So what would you say to that, so that we can pay more taxes? There you go.
Very well. Well, let me stand so that I can face the audience. But look, ladies and gentlemen, as I said in my remarks, a state cannot exist without taxes. So that if we, as citizens of this state or any other state, our responsibility as citizens, in fact, is to finance the state. What affects tax morale? Indeed, perceptions of expenditure. And is money spent well or not? But that is a broader question of democracy. Because in a representative democracy, you and I, we vote, we elect leadership that is involved in, first of all, deciding how taxes are spent, but also oversighting how that process works. So in our representative democracy of Kenya, we have executives, both at national and county level, who are responsible for expenditure. And we have legislatures, again, both at national and county level, who are responsible for oversight. And to provide that oversight, constitutional institutions, such as Auditor General and so on, to provide the technical capacity or the technical assessment so that our representatives can oversight. So it's a long process. I think, moderator, and we accept as the Revenue Service that perhaps we are seen as the focal point of the conversation, but I want to persuade you, fellow citizens, that it is more than us. It includes you, it includes our elected representatives, and it includes the process of democracy. Now, spending transparency, again, dear Kenyans, one of, honestly, my own personal disappointment, now I'm talking as Derito Murithi, my personal disappointment is the fact that we don't spend enough time discussing the budget process. Okay? Right now, because, ladies and gentlemen, the budget process begins in August when the cabinet secretary issues budget circular. So by now, there is a budget review and outlook paper. Looking at what happened in the budget last year, what is our expectation of the economy in the future, and therefore what kind of revenues do we expect? Nobody reads it. Nobody reads it, much to the disappointment of the technocrats who prepare it. After that, the budget policy statement, which is actually where expenditure decisions are made. I know many of you in the private sector, you get involved in sector working groups. But still the involvement is cast as though the money is generally just available. And it isn't, instead of a deep debate about the expenditure. That document will be out in November, early December. Again, nobody really reads it. Nobody debates it. Then it will go to the National Assembly early in the year. Again, then we all wait until May when some tax adjustments are proposed in the finance bill. And then we really quarrel about that anywhere and everywhere in the Republic. I want to propose that let us really spend more time looking at expenditure and debating expenditure, not just debating the revenue-raising measures that are contained in the finance bill proposals. So I hope thank you.
Yes,
Asante,
thank you, Chairman.
please, Asante.
We can appreciate him with a clap. Thank
All
you so
that
much.
effort, Jameni. Thank you.
All right, we are out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, I've tried as much as possible to answer as many questions that you have voted for. But my panelists, I want to throw this back to you. The commissioner will be the last one to speak on this. Excellent. Okay. And look at the subject. This is how I want us to close on this. Look at the subject. We were talking about enlarging or expanding the tax base through MSME empowerment. That is the subject. So I want to ask you in a quick sentence to complete for me this. What must we do to enlarge the tax base through MSME empowerment? What must we do? Let me start with you, Kristen.
What we must do is focus on inclusive growth and sustainable development by all of us working towards helping that SME grow, be it from a cash flow perspective, from a tax compliance perspective, from a tax policy formulation perspective, so that we have the best interest of that SME at heart, so that it's able to expand. And I can tell you, as long as it expands, sustainable taxation becomes a reality.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Beth, over to you as well. We're talking about tax-based expansion through MSME empowerment. What must we do? What's the last word for you?
Yeah, so I'll frame it from two perspectives. The first one is that sustainable tax growth is dependent on trust and predictability. The softer issues are actually the harder issues. Mm-hmm. It's not even about the system, it's not about anything else. It's just being able to change mindset. Awesome. The second part of it is to say and reiterate what everybody else has said before me, is that SMEs want to comply. Yeah. That even as we continue to digitize, let's humanize the process.
All right.
The other one is that, and I know, again, it was mentioned, is that sometimes aggressive tax audits, what they do is that they shrink the tax base. That again, we just need to be able to see how we can smoothen it out. So it's a call to action, yeah, just to be able to see how we can reform the tone, transparency and timing, so that then we are able to get better outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paris, what must we do?
We also need to reduce the frequency of tax law revisions. Okay. So that there is predictability, there is better planning, both for MSMEs, for investors, for anybody who is expected to remit any form of tax.
Thank you.
So they are able to have a forward planning for the future budget, financial years or periods.
Oh, for the next 5 years. You're right, you're right.
Yes.
Commissioner, I know this is an interesting one, but what must we do? I think just, you can speak as yourself, but what must we do? But make it short, sir. I know you have a speech, but don't. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, moderator. But that is my job description. You've just said it up there. But let me start by saying this. First of all, we are listening. That is very important. In fact, the contribution made here and in many other fora that we are listening. We want to respond positively to what we are listening. We are going in different places and people are telling us grounds ni tofauti. And they are telling us what is on the ground. And so we are going to the ground so that we have got a better understanding. But there are some things that stand out. One, focus on service and facilitation. That's what the taxpayers are telling us. Move away from enforcement, focus on service and facilitation. So we are keen to make sure that we offer that service to the taxpayers. Give them as much as possible within their ecosystem. Facilitate them. So we are looking to do that, I see, both from the front end and also from the back. So we are doing certain things to make sure we improve also on our back end so that it's easier for us to be able to to engage. The other element that we're definitely going to do with all this data we are going to get, data analytics is going to be the key going into the future. That will give us insights and will help us to be able to help the taxpayers better. And the engagement doesn't stop here.
Thank you.
We continue to engage, even as we offer all these simplified solutions and all these other things, working closely with what we call the payment service providers, PSP, which is another opportunity. Because if you look at the businesses, to some level of extent now, with the mobile platform and others, there's quite a bit of formalization of the business already. So we can then be able to ride on those formalized platforms and make it easier and better. We are focused on that, and we are also ready to listen as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. I have to stop you at that. Let's appreciate my panelists with a round of applause. Asante sana. Panelists, if you don't mind, you could stand for a quick group photo. I think I've been requested about that by the photographers, so please stand. Would you like them to come closer to each other? Love each other like genuine taxpayers. There you go. So we can take that picture very fast, very fast. Yes, I think there's some instructions here. Make sure. Yeah, excellent, excellent. Lovely, lovely. There you go. Excellent. As we are doing that, we are transitioning very fast to building a seamless data exchange ecosystem. And our keynote speaker is right here and ready, so he could be getting set. That's none other than Dr. Bright. Did you take the picture? Without me, it's okay, but I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You can take your seats. Thank you so much, Commissioner. I will not go and tell them that you did not want to take one with me. But before then, excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have just seen something, and I want to break protocol completely. Please forgive me for this. I want to break protocol and ask a question. In the morning, we had a session that a bit exceeded, but we still want to have these conversations today. So, Dr. Brad, just pause there, because I need to break some protocol and do the democracy way. This is a democracy country, and we like doing that. How many of us are willing to just endure one other panel, or you want to go for lunch? I want to. That's the democracy thing. Can I see that? Lunch? Oh, one more panel? Now, where is my moderator? There you go. So the people are saying they want one more panel. Yes, the people have said. Thank you so much. They just had tea. Let's appreciate Dr. Bright Gambeli as he comes with a round of applause. Dr. Bright, please come by here. Dr. Bright is a cybersecurity and blockchain intelligence leader, founder of Africa Hackon, and a PhD holder in IT coverage and information security. And he's going to be here speaking from his experience. Welcome, sir. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's working. Okay. Yeah.
Mike, please.
Reading on all protocols observed. Good afternoon. It's good to be here, and my job today is not to speak too much, but just to give a glimpse of what my fellow panelists are going to talk about. So we're here to talk about details when it comes to building a seamless data exchange ecosystem and the future of intergovernment collaboration. How many of you know where all your data is right now? How many of you can tell where your data is? I'm talking about your personal identifiable information. Hello? How many of you have been receiving SMSs from unknown betting companies? And they tell you, register for this bet. Or some people tell you, you can actually take a loan with just your logbook. Hello? Where is that data coming from? Do you know? And the kind of question we keep on asking each other is, where are all these people getting our data from? How did they get my phone number? How did they get to know my full name? There's one that has been going on. They said, to me, I need number. And that has been happening all over the world. And I keep on asking, where are these people getting from? But when it comes to the fact that we are seeing we're at a part where Africa is looking at data interrogation, digital transformation, it's not a conversation that we want to basically discuss anymore. It's become part of our lives. Digital transformation was not really a thing that we were thinking about a few years ago until COVID happened. Some of you never understood what a VPN was until COVID happened, and then you have to work from home. And they said, to access the system internally, you basically have to what? Use a VPN. And we start seeing all those policies and documents coming out right now. And the Kenya tax to GDP ratio that basically demonstrates how our progress and potential for systems to work very well together. And the question isn't really if we have to digitize, but it has to do with how do we securely, inclusively, and also be able to get citizens to trust the data that we are actually collecting and working with. African countries lose close to an estimated 50 to 80 billion annually to illicit financial flows, a challenge that we cannot be solved with silo systems. When I was working as a blockchain investigator, I was a trainer, I was also an investigator. We see a lot of money flowing when it comes to cryptocurrency transactions, and we keep on asking, how many people are actually moving a lot of illicit money, and are banks even aware, or are the kind of transaction systems that we're used to taking the money out? Because when they move through cryptocurrency, they have to cash out at a point in time, right or wrong? And when they have to cash out, they have to use a fiat system to be able to get the money out. And all of those, some of them are linked to systems that they are all illicit cash flow. And we keep on trying to find a way to be able to actually track those down. And a lot of money is being lost through such systems. So when we're looking at interoperability as an infrastructure, data integration becomes a very core integral part of things that we need to do. Revenue authorities, customs, immigration, land registries right now all host a piece of the puzzle. Right, currently, if you want to be able to interrogate all of those details, we are doing something better with e-citizen and the likes, but we could do better with the kind of data that we're collecting every time. So if KRA possibly cannot verify every company registration data, or even legitimately know the details of a particular business, then there will be irregularities that will be able to show up, and also other details where we see that there are ways to be able to actually curb some of those irregularities. We have other continental solutions that are coming up, and we can talk about them with the plenary, where we have GovStack, which is not just technical standard, but also a philosophy of modular, reasonable digital building blocks that we can leverage on. We're also looking at Smart Africa cross-border guidelines, which have been helping to be able to enable what citizens already trade. They transact across borders, and be able to help in impacting or reducing custom clearance from, example, days to a few hours. Right now, when somebody gets to import any kind of a car or goods into the country, when it gets to the port, it takes so long to be able to verify all the documents. You ought to verify if this person legitimately imported the car through a business that is known. You ought to verify who are the owners of this business. You ought to find out if this person who owns the business is actually the right person. You ought to be able to find out if this person has been paying tax. Then we have insurance details. You have other systems that basically hold pieces of data, and we want to see how can we be able to integrate all this data into one place to make sure that it will take only a few hours to be able to verify that Bright is actually a person who has been paying tax, is the owner or the director at a particular company, and be able to do that. The Kenya opportunity is the fact that we have M-Pesa, which is a revolution proving that Africans will be able to adopt digital solutions that actually works. I can't remember the last time I held cash. Only recently when I went to Ghana last week is when I started using cash a lot. But in Kenya, how many of you use cash to buy anything? Rarely. M-Pesa is everywhere. You're able to integrate into most systems, and you have a lot of data minimization that is being done to make it very easy for you to be able to use digital systems. And even your grandmother who is in the village makes it very easy for her to be able to actually adopt M-Pesa to pay for things or to receive money from one person to the other. And the world has been seeing what we've been doing in that space, and they're all riding on it. If you look at all the videos on the internet which talks about people coming to Africa or to Kenya specifically to look at the kind of ways we have been digitizing, they look at M-Pesa as the story they take about. When I was living in South Korea, I had a session that every week, when doing your PhD, you have to present a new idea. So I went and talked about M-Pesa to my professors. Do you know I was stopped? I was saying, they said, stop, what do you mean you can just send us a text message? They went and called 5 other professors to come listen. That come listen to this genius thing that this guy is talking about. And somehow I still had my M-Pesa line. So I called somebody and said, send me M-Pesa of this amount of money. And it came as a USSD message. These guys were shocked. This is South Korea. This is South Korea who demonstrates how data can be used in a way. Let me tell you how data is being used in South Korea. When you swipe your debit card at a restaurant or at a shop, there's a correlation between the camera that is watching you and your swiping. Does that make sense? Let me explain better. When you swipe your card, a picture gets to be taken of you, and it shows, but you don't have to put a pin, you can sign anything. So if my signature has been a tick all along, and tomorrow I put a 0 as a signature for signing at a shop, it flags that as somebody stole my card. It does the reverse facial recognition of you compared to the national database to find out if Bright has been kidnapped, how does it look, how is my reaction, and am I under duress? This is South Korea in 2015. If you don't pay your rent, do you know if you get to the airport, you have to show a two-way ticket? It hardly happened to one. It hardly happened to a Kenyan. It's a Kenyan friend of ours. We're coming back to Kenya, and he didn't pay his rent. He didn't complete his rent. So they told him, we will need to recover the rent for the landlord through the ticket which you have bought, and it has to be a return ticket. So he had a one-way ticket. He had to actually buy a two-way ticket or pay the rent, and immediately he paid his rent, the system cleared him under one ID. His national ID was able to actually show the fact that he had just paid his rent, so he doesn't have to buy a two-way ticket, and the two-way ticket has to be the cost of the rent that you actually paid. That way they can talk to the airline and say, this person who had not paid rent, he's not coming back because of the date that he's indicated on the ticket, so we can recover that cash. That is how much data is being used out there. So we're looking at the fact that we want to have real-time verification between KRA and other county government or other systems, such as lands and the like, to be able to close some of these VAT gaps. So one of the questions that I want to ask is, how do we balance the urgency of integration with the necessity of getting governance right from the start? This brings me to the conversation that I like to talk about a lot, which I'm very passionate about, cyber security. How many of you believe that your data is safe with the government? Oh my goodness. How many of you believe your data is not safe? Okay, there we go. Now the hands are up. So when we're looking at this topic when it comes to inclusivity and also trust, this is where I think my panel needs to be able to break this down, and also the government agencies that are here to be able to actually know what we're trying to do. But I'm happy to know that people are being punished, people are being punished for misusing data right now, which is what the ODPC is actually doing, and I think my good friend here, John, will be able to shine some more light on that. People need to understand that, yes, data being misused by people, you can actually get that reported, and then ODPC will be able to actually action on that. People have been fined, and I'm happy that that is happening, because if that does not happen, others are not going to learn from it, that that data can be misused. So for that to happen, we want to be able to actually see the more integrations we get, definitely that increases what we call the attack surface, and that basically is going to bring a lot of vulnerabilities. But more data integrations basically means that we're going to have more efficiency. And one weak link in that can compromise an entire data system. So data being collected by anyone, and with the vulnerability that we have, basically makes it very easy for somebody's data to be compromised. This is where solutions such as blockchain technology, encryption of data, and the likes come into play to make sure that your data is actually safe wherever it's being kept. And of course, that brings a lot of other details, which I'll talk about very soon. And beyond that, we have African Network of Cybersecurity Authorities, which actually basically talks about how you don't have to look at the threats don't have borders. It will go from one country to the other. Kenya's experience with cyber incident, as we have seen, has grown. We've seen attacks coming from all over, and we're all being affected one way or the other. When M-Pesa was hit some time back by this cyber group, hacking group called Anonymous Sudan, it basically, we all were affected in one way or the other. So we have to find ways to be able to make sure that the regulations actually help. Threat intelligence is really necessary. Back bounty programs, making it the public to be able to give notice to companies and say, this is the vulnerability I have found, and this is how you can be able to fix it. And we see solutions such as encryption tools, stress testing of these interagency data flows, APIs that we are publicly making available, blockchain technology to be able to help with that, and also make sure that is done very well. And to close all of this conversation is the fact that data governance with a human face is necessary. We need to be able to make sure that we can actually catch tax evaders with technology. We have data science and AI tools or artificial intelligence which can make sure that we have visibility much better. And we know that we can actually have data sharing where we know who is the controller, the collector, and who is actually a processor of data, allowing us to also have an opt-in strategy for any data that is being shared. So, as I get to conclude, we need to learn from the best. There are people like Estonia, Singapore, South Korea who've done it. We are doing very well as well compared to other countries, but we can do better by being able to actually borrow from other countries and see what are they doing that we can be able to leverage on, and how can we get it done better, that we can have safe guidelines put together for us to make sure that data can be shared between government agencies, and making it easy for us to be able to make sure that the seamlessness makes it also have security as well. Thank you so much, and I look forward to be able to engage in the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bright. A better round of applause to him, Asante Sana. So you will just take a seat, but don't be too far. Don't be too far, because I know there are questions already being sent up here. So feel free as well if you have any question. Most of the times, Dr. Bright ends up hacking us all in a room. I don't know why today you did not hack us. I was ready for it. But let's move on straight to the panel. And I want to invite my panelists very fast just to keep on building on that session on building a seamless data exchange ecosystem. My first panelist will be Ms. Doreen Bingi, the Acting Commissioner for Large and Medium Taxpayers at KRA, with immense experience as well, 32 years I see in compliance, enforcement, and tax administration. Please put your hands together for Ms. Doreen as she comes. A round of applause to her. Welcome, Ms. Doreen. We also have a representative of Mr. Ali Hussein. Mr. Ali Hussein, we had a representative coming in. Excellent. The vice is right here, so please come up here. I'm so sorry I didn't get to pick your name then, because I know Ali just made a quick replacement now. And then, of course, we have in the house Rajul Awashti, a global lead for domestic resource mobilization at the World Bank, based in Addis Ababa. A round of applause to him as he comes. He has over 17 years experience in tax and governance reforms across multiple regions, and he previously served India's finance minister and served as the Indian Revenue Service as well. Also joining in is Bwana Walubengo. Mr. Walubengo as well is a certified information systems auditor, certified private professional, and has over 20 years experience in ICT industry, and recently joined the Office of Data Protection Commissioner for all the questions on data. Representing the Data Commission is right here, Bwana Walubengo. And of course, joining us as well virtually is Ms. Michael Meguro, Lead Coordinator and Senior Policy Analyst at OECD and Research Fellow at Amsterdam Center for International Law. Ms. Michael, if you can hear me, would like to check that we can communicate well. Please say hello as we do that. In the meantime, tech team, may I have my slides up because I'd like us to start by engaging the people. Excellent. I can see Ms. Michael is right there. Ms. Michael, can you hear me? Ms. Michael, can you hear me?
I definitely hear you. Thank you very much. Do you hear me?
Excellent. We can hear you as well, and we can see you. Tech team, if you don't mind, may I have my slides up on the laptop so that at least we can get to engage with the people. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about building a seamless data exchange, and you've just heard from Dr. Bright and what he was talking about. My panelists, I would like us as well to also, in a way, engage in that conversation with what Dr. Bright is talking about. Tech team, can I have my Slido up, if you don't mind, on the screen? so that at least we can be able to have this going on. There you go. So I think there should be a poll running right now on your phones just to help us engage. Remember, you can ask your questions based on that. We're going to do this very short and straight to the point. So if you don't mind, please feel free to interact as well into that, so that at least we are able to do to have these conversations ongoing. So what do you think, first of all, is the biggest obstacle to effective data sharing among government agencies? I think that poll is up there, so please feel free to engage on your phone. We want to see the reactions as well. What do you think is the biggest obstacle to effective data sharing among government agencies? If you can see it, please feel free as well to engage with it. There you go. And then we shall be able to do that. I can see the reactions are happening. The question is, what do you think is the biggest obstacle to effective data sharing among government agencies? And when I look at that, I can see a lot of people saying what? Concerns about data privacy and misuse, and I'm happy that data is represented here. That's a whopping 52%. 18% are saying lack of coordination or interoperability or awareness across agencies. That's a good one as well. Also, what else can I see? I can also see very closely and clear laws or policies on data sharing, which is quite important. But the highest of it all is the concerns about data privacy and misuse, closely followed by, with 24%, bureaucratic silos and resistance to change, and then closely as well followed by lack of coordination. In case you're joining us on this Slido for the first time, you just type slido.com and the passcode is KRA. Once you're in there, you're able to vote and help us with these conversations. There you go. So talking about that, you can see the biggest obstacles for effective data sharing among government agencies. There you go. That's the conversation, but we're saying we need to still build a seamless data exchange ecosystem. I don't know, what are your thoughts, my panelists? The people are so concerned about their data protection, so much. I'm talking about 52% of all the votes in the House. So much concern about their data privacy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please up the mic. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the invite. It was initially going to my boss, Madam Kasai, but
Just pause for a second. I would like us to hear you well. So kindly check his mic
check
so
1,
that
2,
at least
3.
we can hear you.
Check 1, 2, 3.
Excellent. Let me see if there's more that is being brought.
Kamona Mutugi,
Excellent. Yes.
Check.
utasema sasa ungekuwa ushafika nyumbani sasa unakula tu mandazi tu na chai moto.
Thank you, moderator. I was just saying
Eh?
the invite was extended to my boss, Madam Kasai.
Eh.
I'm sure I'll do justice to the questions.
Atumepigiwa simu?
First, perhaps to pivot on what Bright shared on integrating different data sets
Walai.
so that you provide better service
Alafu?
to Kenyans.
Alafu sasa?
And that's a good thing. I mean, I'm a taker and I
tutie
appreciate
huku.
what integration can do.
Twende tu kwa dinga.
However, as
Huku
you've seen
nafungwa.
from the
Twende
audience
kwa dinga
regarding
tu nini
privacy
tucheki. Itafika huko
issues,
nje?
those are the biggest concern. How do we
Ametutengenezea tu
ensure
saa
that
jioni. Inaitwa KRA
even
stream.
as we integrate different data sets, the
Yeah.
privacy of the citizens is guaranteed, and that's where the Office of the Data Protection
Bado
Commissioner comes
tunaitest.
in.
Hebu acha tu nimalizie
to
tu baki
make
madam.
sure
Unaona nikitoka nje kikatika.
That even
Ndio
as
hii hapa
we
ina run
adopt
bado.
technologies,
Unaona?
we don't compromise
Ametuwekea
the
to
right
test.
privacy as
To test for
guaranteed in
like
Article 31
at
of the
least
Kenyan
naona sasa
Constitution.
inamaliza
So
fika by 45 ni
one
sawa.
way to do that is from the outset to
Hii ni
understand
dakika 5.
that as an office, our job is
Dakika-
not to
dakika 5.
stop data sharing.
Tanaweza yekelea tu hapa
Our
kwa
job
hiyo.
is to ensure that data is shared in a lawful, in a legal manner, in a manner that guarantees that the personal data of citizens
is protected. So let's not imagine that we're here to block data sharing. In fact, we've published a data sharing code on the ODPC website to guide partners or data controllers that find it necessary to share data. It provides the framework for doing so in a legal way, in a very protective manner that guarantees that in the form of integration, you do not violate the data rights of the citizens. Just to summarize, the office is not there to block data sharing, but to provide that the sharing is done according to the Data Protection Act. Thank you.
Hii iko stable.
Okay, so you're just affirming us that
Unajua wifi ingine